Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom! What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Robin. I'm creeping a reel.
Were you having an excitement attack because you got your computer going?
It worked just in the nick of time. Just barely made it.
That's good. I'm glad. Oh man, technology is great, especially when stuff needs to update last minute and all these wonderful things that we have to deal with for technology. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful.
It's only a little stressful, that's all.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's totally fine.
Is it though?
Yeah, sure. It's okay. Rob's gonna crash out on the live stream.
Listen, man, I've watched too many reptile people have full-blown crash outs on Instagram Live that you won't see me doing it.
And I promise it wasn't me either.
It was not you.
Yeah.
But I do have some of them recorded, but that's okay.
Yes, for later use. It's fine.
I'm not even going to use them. I just oh my goodness.
No, personal enjoyment. Not used to post online. Just like, hey, remember that time somebody was losing their shit? Let's have a laugh.
Bro, it's wild.
Oh man. Yeah, right, dude. Right. But how are you doing, man? How are things?
I am doing okay. I had such a busy weekend, but it was good going out to the All-American Reptile Expo over in Charlotte, and I got one of the 6 shirts with the scrub python on it. So
hell yeah, I know you were stoked about that.
I missed out on them last time, and I was like, before the expo ended, I went over and I was like, "Hey, who's pickle do I got to tickle to get one of these shirts over here?" They were like, "You can have one."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got one. Super hyped about it. I've got a collection of scrub things going that are other than scrub python, scrub art and things. So
it'll go right along. You like scrub pythons or something like.
One could say,
Yeah, what's going on with that, dude?
I don't know. I just think they're neat, It's like,
yeah. Hey, man, I'm here for it.
Little Simpsons reference.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I can't complain, man. I'm very notorious for injuring myself after long weekends of things. So I messed up my back. But I'm here. I'm doing better. Today's a better day. So I can sit down and not be like, oh god, like a 70-year-old man. So I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I think largely in part because the All-American show was this past weekend, and I did not get a chance to sit down the entire weekend. It was a very busy show, which was great. A lot of people came and wanted to talk Amazons, which was super, super exciting for me. And I was happy. And it was also, because he's here in the chat, it was great. My partner is back from his cruise around South America. Yeah, and he was back at the show, which was nice. I know a bunch of people were excited to see him. So that made it certainly fun as well. And so it was a really great weekend, very busy weekend, and I think that played a bit of a role in my current pain situation, but we're doing all right. Got the first colubrid clutch of the year, which I'm stoked about. Some Texas rats, some scaleless Texas rats just for Rob. But straight to jail. But nice clutch of 14 eggs from her. A couple slugs, but pretty much right on the money for what I was anticipating for her. And we've got a bunch of colubrids producing follicles right now, which is exciting. So bunch of corn snakes, Mex are starting to develop follicles. So finally we're going to produce some Mex. I'm excited about that. Mexican Black Kings and Cal Kings as well, all producing follicles. And North Mexican Pines, the Janai girls, got some follicles, so I've got them paired up. Although the male is starting to go into shed, so I don't think he's going to be incredibly active right now. But
did you happen to take a picture of that Janai and
No!
fucking post it?
No, I need to do that.
I was literally, so for all of you who are listening, this weekend I was talking to the kind people right next to us, and one of the people who was vending was saying that she really loves Pituophis, and I was like, oh my goodness, you're not gonna believe this. Jeremy has like the nicest Jana you've ever, like a Barrett pattern Jana you've ever seen in your life. And I was trying to describe it, and then I was like, I'll just go on his Instagram real quick and I'll find a picture of it. And I'm scrolling. And I'm scrolling. And I'm scrolling. And I'm scrolling. And I'm like, when was the last time Jeremy posted a picture of this thing?
I don't know. It's probably been a long time. It's probably been a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I told him as soon as he gets home, he has to take a picture and post it.
Yep, and I've done exactly the opposite. I've posted other things. So I will you know what, Rob? I'll do it tonight. I'll do it just for you because you've now publicly embarrassed me.
You better. I'm gonna have Dan send you nudes if you don't.
Oh no, don't do that. That's terrible. Yep. Okay. Side note, just because you brought him up. So our good buddy Taylor, who used to come visit us at Nerd all the time, sent me some ball pythons that I actually had at the show, and there are a group of images of our friend Dan from Nerd that I may or may not have placed his face on various hilarious bodies. And if you're familiar with the Instagram meme world, there's an image of someone standing in a line, and it just says, "As tired as these titties." And if you're familiar with Dan was a large man.
He's slimmed down a lot, okay?
He has. No, he has. I know, but he will forever be Big Man Dan for a group of us. And Taylor happened to have a copy of said image. I don't know how he got it. No idea how he got it, but I haven't seen some of those images in a while. And he put one in the box, and it was the first thing I saw when I opened the box. Mind you, I opened it outside and was just cackling very loudly, like the whole neighborhood heard it. Shout out to you, Taylor, and we love you, Dan. We love you, Dan. I will tell one very quick Dan story, and then we can move forward. I remember so Dan and I worked very, very closely together, especially during my last year at Nerd. And Dan's also got a great collection of ball pythons, and periodically I'd go by and visit and look at some snakes, have dinner with him and his wife. Love both of them. One time Dan got a Fitbit, and it was when he first started his weight loss journey, and his wife was very, very adamant that he worked on losing some weight for his own safety, health and safety. And she was like, "Here, Dan, I'll set this up for you." And it said, "How much do you weigh?" And she was like, "Oh," she's Colombian. She's like, "Oh, don't worry, Danny. Don't worry, Danny. Too much."
Oh no. You have to put it in for metric reasons.
Yeah, no. It was just, we're putting it in for spousal reasons here. Somebody clip this. Send this to Dan. I love talking about it. It's fun. No, it's okay. Don't do it. Now, Jake's going to do that, just so you know. Jake's going to watch this episode, and he's going to clip it and show it to Dan.
Probably.
It's okay. It's all right. I love him. I love the man. But before we continue any further, the Reptile Talk podcast is sponsored by Black Box Cages. Go check them out. Link down below in the description, blackboxcages.com. Check them out. Go get yourself a new rack, a new cage. some other element of reptile keeping that's very helpful, like cord protectors for your heat panels. I love talking about those things because they're so important, so your snakes don't unplug your heat panels, because they want to, curl their tail around that tiny little half-inch loop. So go check them out, blackboxcages.com. And you can use code Reptile Talk at checkout and save a little bit of money on your order. And bam, that is story time / housekeeping for the Reptile Talk podcast. But I'm super excited tonight to be talking with right now with Will, hopefully with Audra momentarily, from Flawless Crested Geckos and Flawless Exotic Creations. Let's get them in here. Bam, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much,
Hell yeah.
man.
We're
Not
hyped to have
much.
you on tonight.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Dude, I love the banner in the back too. That's sick.
Oh yeah, we kind of actually made a entire studio pretty much in our house.
Hell yeah, dude.
Those things just happen accidentally sometimes,
I love it. But heck yeah, man. So for people who might not know you guys and know your story, what got you guys kind of started into the reptile scene?
So Audra and I are prior law enforcement. She was dispatch. She was a dispatcher for several years, and then she was a road deputy in Spartanburg for 3 years. I was actually a police officer for the city for 10 years. I was SWAT team leader. So we actually didn't work together. We were in different departments, and through all the hustle and bustle, we were kind of just passing each other. Wasn't the quality of life was pretty much in the toilet. Check to check. We have 4 kids. You're missing all these events. I worked third. She worked third. We had nights off. It was a bad situation. Even our relationship was kind of rocky, because no communication, there's no quality time being spent together. And through an effort of trying to, strengthen the family, change the mood, I stopped into Petco. And while I was in Petco, I was talking to a young kid. Well, I call him a young kid, probably 15, 16, 17 years old. And I've always been into reptiles. We've had, corn snakes, different things in the past before, getting married. And came across some Crested Geckos, and they had them in this little 10-gallon, those Petco displays. They called them fancy geckos. I'm like, geckos. I'm like, what is that? So I had a bunch of them in there, and I came up with a bright idea after talking to the associate to get 4 of them, 1 for each kid, and bring them home. It's something we can all kind of do together. They told me how easy it was at the store. Just, throw a few crickets in every week and, spray it once a week, and that's it. Nothing else to be done. And I'm like, okay, cool. Bought the enclosure, brought them home, set them up. And a big positive for me personally, as well as a big negative, is our research. Like, bad. Like, I mean, hours and hours of research. I'm that guy that will look at 4 hours of video for the 30 seconds of information that I needed. So I went down that rabbit hole and found out that everything they told me at the store was wrong. Everything. So, I'm running around trying to go pick up critter keepers so I can kind of like temporarily house them independently, so I can separate them. It was chaotic, which brought us across the Facebook groups that Audra sent me one, and then we just started joining all the Facebook groups for the Crested Geckos. And it was eye-opening, as a family, we were looking at different things, the colors, the patterns, and we were just so locked in on the new discovery of something that obviously has been here for years, but is new to us. Right. And Audra just kind of started gravitating towards certain looks. And, I started looking at the new extravagant things, the kids like this. So it was just, for a while, it was literally like Pokemon. You were just collecting. There was no business plan or anything at the beginning. There was no, official branding or anything. We were just legitimately having fun. And then we started coming across like the auctions and everything they were having like on Facebook at the time.
Yeah.
So long story longer, we go down that rabbit hole and start creating like bioactives. We get into the bioactive side and we literally deep dive into the Crested Gecko world. And out of nowhere, it really starts to kind of strengthen the bond throughout the entire family. And all this really was happening because of Crested Geckos. It sounds so cliche, but in the world of law enforcement, especially on third shift, it's pretty grim. It's pretty dark. You're dealing with people as a police officer at their darkest moment, at their weakest moment, when they need help. The other side of the coin, when you work third shift, you really, really end up being slighted with the job. And again, this is after 10 years on the job. It's a very respectable job to do. But when you're a daytime officer versus a nighttime officer, it's completely different. For lack of a better expression, when you're a daytime officer, 8 a.m., 7 a.m., all the way to 8 p.m. at night. When you're getting calls of service, you're going out to the people that we provide the service to, the city. And you have to kind of figure out whether you're dealing with nonsense and BS or whether someone genuinely needs your help. You kind of have to juggle that and figure out what are you there for. When you work third shift, there is none of that. You are dealing, when you pull up, you are dealing with nonsense. You are dealing with BS all night, shift after shift. And it's unfortunate. So once you kind of do that year after year after year, you get slighted and kind of complacent. So we started kind of reevaluating when we started getting up in the numbers, 50, 60 geckos and trying to make sure we had everything they need. We were going to Petco and getting crickets, every week. And we started looking at the breeding side of it. And we already had all these beautiful geckos, expensive geckos, because we were buying the stuff that we wanted. We were literally, which is kind of like a business tip also, we would contact breeders because Crested Geckos are such a hobby field, is I would say even more so than like the ball pythons or other species, that we were able to contact breeders, keepers, enthusiasts that had these amazing geckos, and they would post them up and show them off, and they would list that they're not for sale. And, we would inbox them and just say, hey, we appreciate, you showing your gecko off. It's absolutely stunning. It's our dream to own a gecko like that. We know it's not for sale, but would you entertain this offer? And they're like, absolutely. So send it over. So we were able to compile quite the collection, buying a lot of the animals we wanted that weren't necessarily for sale. We went further and got our import-export license, and we started importing Crested Geckos into the country as well as now we export pretty much all over. But it just snowballed from there. We started chasing projects, and we tried to jump in front of potential issues that we would see. And for us as a whole, we would see like a lot of people, generally speaking, they would have probable males, probable females, a lot of people spending their hard-earned money on beautiful geckos, and 6 months later down the road, it's the opposite gender. Nothing's really foolproof. Even experienced breeders were, selling the opposite gender. So it wasn't on purpose, but obviously for us, we saw that as an issue. We kind of locked in with Brian from Altitude Exotics and from afar at that time, and watched how he did things. He had a strong following, and we noticed that he tended to sell bigger geckos. So we kind of mirrored our original business plan directly after that. We were in no rush to kind of sell everything. So we started, hatching everything out and holding it back to see it progress and grow out a bit so we can have a better solution to that issue. When people come to you, whether they spend $100 or $5,000, we want to make sure that, hey, when they come back, 4 or 5 months later, that they have exactly what they want for whatever project they're working. So that kind of took off for us. And that was in the original groundwork of the plan. Now, Audra, she has a very expensive eye. She was the one who got us into the Exantic project. That is her claim to fame. She wears it on her sleeve, and she will tell you till she's blue in the face. It was extremely expensive at the time, especially kind of coining the business and jumping in, and we were extremely hesitant. But after talking things over with her and having a game plan for it, we bought into the Exantic project. And I want to say after that was year 2 that we bought into the Exantic project, and we probably bought Exantic from Brian every year after that, probably multiple Exantics from Brian for the next 6 years or so. Where people were saying, why not just kind of produce and hold back? Well, yeah, we produce and hold back to a certain extent. It's like any other species. You want to add another gene or morph or something, and someone else is ahead. You go out and buy that, as long as the business can absorb it and kind of, you grow that way because you can hit your goal animals faster. We've always held Flawless across the board, both brands, as, we want to be our number one customer. I think that's where we've benefited greatly at. But it got a little out of control in the first stages of building. And Audra would tell you, we had it to a point where, we have a decently large house, and it was taking over half the house as well as our dining room table, where, we had tubs on top of tubs on the dining room table. It was just getting absolutely insane. And we were like, you know what? We gotta build a facility. And we stumbled upon building a facility because at first we thought about leasing a location, and that didn't make sense for us. The leasing of a location would be multiple thousands of dollars a month. On top of that, you have really no control over, once your lease expires, whether the actual owner of the property wants you out because a bigger spender wants to move in. You have no control over the things that can come from that. On top of that, we thought about it where if we were able to obtain a location and we wanted to, let's say, vend or do something, now we're dealing with manpower issues. How do you keep a facility open that's open to the public and still kind of take advantage of a revenue opportunity as far as vending? You're kind of in a tough spot. So we had to crunch numbers, and everything ended up making sense for us to build on our property that we're on. So we built on our property. We have 16-foot wide by 52-foot long facility. We had everything custom. And then once it was all together, roof, everything, and we passed all our inspections for our county, Audra and I went in the interior, and we finished off the interior ourselves. So she is a trooper. Audra is unlike any other woman I've ever met, which is why I married her. She'll get up underneath a car with you, grease everywhere, whatever. She'll carry the heaviest load. She was holding drywall up to the ceiling. She tells everyone, we ain't get a drywall lift. I had Audra. So we did all of that. It's been quite the journey, and we've been trying to kind of almost catalog it in a manner of putting it out there across social media, because we saw at an early stage that social media in this current day and age, as well as the future, is the key to anyone trying to get into the reptile industry. It is literally something at this point in time that you cannot skip. If this was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you might have kind of gotten through. Even now, if you've been doing it for 10 or 15 years, that means you've kind of created your Rolodex, you've created your clientele. Maybe, you've plateaued, or you're complacent where you're comfortable and you're not really caring about growing or not, because you can take care of all your responsibilities and be successful. That's completely fine. But if you want to do this now, you cannot do it without social media. It's impossible. And I mean, it's fortunate and unfortunate that things are not going to go backwards. Things are going to become more advanced. There's going to be, as we can see with the shipping battles and everything that's going on out there, there's going to be more players to throw their hat in across the board. We've approached things from so many different aspects. And all we're trying to do is just execute our business plan. I don't know if you guys remember Fauna. You remember Fauna Classifieds? I mean, it's still kind of up.
Oh, yeah.
We would go up there on Fauna, and it was very inexpensive. I thought, I still think it's extremely cheap for what it is. You can go up there and not have anything to necessarily sell, but rep your brand, rep your business across several different pages that are landing pages. So if somebody's going up there looking for crested geckos, or somebody's going up there looking for ball pythons, as soon as you get to that specific classified section, you'll see Flawless Exotic Creations, Flawless Crested Geckos. Click here, and they'll send you over to our website and content. And it's like $60 for the entire year, and it's like, what? Yeah. That's crazy. That's the best money we've ever spent, because Google is expensive. We do that as well. Yeah. But you have to pay to market and advertise yourself, which is, which we'll touch on with the shows, which is what we utilize that for. That's money well spent. To bring it all full circle, you also have to look at the Instagram algorithm as well as YouTube. A lot of people are a little reluctant to do YouTube, and there's so many different ways that you can approach it, ways that I don't even know about. There used to be a guy, he's kind of hung it up as far as in the Crested Geckos, but it was Sawstick. He was, to me, extremely famous on YouTube for his Crested Geckos. Did not have a very large collection. He had a very distinguished voice. And for quite some time, you never even saw his face. He never even put his face on camera. He would turn his camera on inside of a light box and have, several topics to talk about dealing with Crested Geckos. Audio would be absolutely amazing. And he'll show the gecko, the entire camera flow, and B-roll the gecko. And I think he has something like 10,000 followers, 10,000 subscribers, which translated into revenue when he started selling things. So there's so many different ways to kind of approach it and kind of put your own twist on it for you to kind of increase the probability of you being successful. I don't know. I think we just kind of cut ourselves short when it comes to the social media, especially YouTube. Here's another concept really quick, and I won't kind of grandstand the show, but
no, you're good, man.
Telling my son, everybody loves Jordans. They love these Jordan sneakers and everything, and that's cool. I'm not a big Jordan guy. I'm old now. I'll wear some Walmart shoes now. And they stand in line. You work all week. You do whatever you need to do for your finances, and you find out they dropping the new edition, whatever, Jordans, and they're going to have them at Foot Locker. You're going to go out there and stand there for 10, 12, some people out there for 24 hours in line, and you're waiting to pay your $250 for some new release shoes. You get a chance to get them. You leave, you go to school, or you go amongst your friends, all your friends and buddies and strangers see you got the new Jordans on. You're walking around with the Jumpman, the Dunk, boom, cool. Everybody, hey, where you get them? Da 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 da. And you tell them, hey, Foot Locker had da 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 da. Guess what? You sat there, you spent your time, and then you turn around and spent your money on a brand that you like. I get that. Then you walked around and marketed and advertised for free. You paid to market that, just for other people to figure out where you got them from. And that's okay. And everyone accepts it. There's nothing wrong with that. But think about it with YouTube. Even if YouTube, we're monetized, but even if YouTube gave you $1 a month, a whole dollar, I know that's nothing. But essentially, YouTube is now turning around paying you through viewership to market yourself. That's unreal. It's unheard of. You're not going to get that anywhere. Anywhere. Even on Google, we got to pay Google to say, hey, push flawless. You got to pay everything. You got to pay everything. We go to NARBC. You want to hang a banner? You're going to pay. You go to any of these shows, you're going to pay. And it's for a purpose. But when we get up here on this World Wide Web, something we can do from our cell phone and gain a following, we choose not to do it. And it's free for us to do it. And we can literally rep our brand and get paid to do it. And we choose not to do it. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it as long as you've got a like catchy and engaging way of relating your brand to the people, it's like, yeah, it does make a lot of sense. I think a lot of people don't think about it that way. They just kind of think about, oh, I have to sell these snakes, and it's like there's other things you can do too. Like you don't have to just sell the snakes.
It is. And I think you find kind of your calling too. In what we do, I'll put the hat on, it is what it is. I'm sure everybody's seen me at Tinley with the wigs and stuff like that. But in what we do, I mean, we're considered weird, right? This is the weird area. We play with snakes and reptiles. We accept that. That's fine. I like it because there's such a melting pot of people that, you learn new things about the people that you think all the time. Me and Jeremy, we knew each other for a while before I knew certain things about him, and that was cool. I'm like, man, when was I going to find this out? So that was kind of cool. But we can kind of engage with each other and know each other to the point where hey, we meet each other and meet up, and we literally don't miss a beat. But that being said, outside of this, outside of these different species, a lot of these people wouldn't cross paths. So I feel like even the awkward or people who feel they are awkward, they should do it too, even without necessarily just branding. Branding can come along, but I feel like you're always going to have somebody out there in the World Wide Web that you can relate to. That's the benefit. That's the biggest comparison I have with vending versus online. You need both. But even at your biggest show where you have 10,000 people, 10,000 coming through the door, that's that foot traffic, to throw something across the World Wide Web where it can potentially hit millions of people, there's no comparison. There is somebody out there that is like you. You wouldn't believe how many customers we've had that are faithful customers of ours, and they are literally big time like Crested Gecko enthusiasts, and they've never been to a show. They're scared to go to a show. So it's like you got to kind of find a way, which is why we preach it all the time. We're literally trying to put ourselves out there in a manner where we can bring people together, and we stand firm on it. We don't want to be seen as a push around, meaning, hey, I say it all the time. If Joe over here don't like Billy over here and we friends with both of them, guess what? Y'all better figure that out, because I ain't got nothing to do with us. I'm still going to be friends with both of y'all. Y'all better figure it out. Go lock yourself in the closet, whatever y'all need to do to figure it out. But it's too much of kind of pick sides, pick a side, do this. And I don't think that that's the way. They need to kind of figure it out, have conversation, because you guys know, like I know, if a story gets told about anyone, by the time that story comes back around, you didn't even know that the story went that way. They done added and took so much stuff away. You're like, what done happened here? And a lot of it can be avoided.
Yeah. 100%. A giant game of telephone.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I think it's really interesting. Like I didn't know that you guys jumped really quickly into the import export element of the game, and I think as a business, that's something that often gets disregarded. I mean, the reptile industry is a global industry.
Absolutely.
And certainly there are certain species that are more challenging to import and export depending on CITES situations, but but yeah, I mean, if you're working with a species such as a crested gecko or even ball pythons that are a bit easier to maneuver, that really is a largely untapped market by the majority of businesses working with a lot of these more common species.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's very interesting to me because, like I said, so many people just kind of disregard that, or they're like, "Oh, I can't do that because that's for the OGs, that's for the big guys, it's whatever." But it's a very viable market there's a very viable market in so many other countries, regardless of species too. I mean, hell, I've gotten a handful of colubrids that I work with now from Europe that are like domestic native like colubrids, like there's plenty of people working with them here, but some of those people, because that's exotic for them, they put more time and effort into refining and doing some of those really cool things with the species that we take for granted because, like, oh, I can go flip a rock and find that, like I think about some of the in Canada it certainly happens, but some corn snake breeders in Italy, like, they have refined corn snakes to be so insanely beautiful. It's like, man, what the heck? Like, there's I forgot the name of the company, but they work with corn snakes, and they have all these crazy high white pied corn snakes, and it's just like, man, we can't even have that. Like, we have nothing close to that here in the States, man. I got to go to Italy to get a native colubrid. I should just be able to flip a log over and find. What the
That's
heck,
crazy.
Man?
That's crazy.
It's wild. Welcome, Audra. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. Running late. Always having to do something.
You're good.
We heard you were lifting up drywall.
Yeah, Will was telling us you were very excited to lift drywall as you built your facility.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Nah, listen, I won't do that again. That's for sure. Nah. I moved like how many 70 separate two wall things of freaking sheetrock. It was ridiculous. Holding it up. Oh my God.
But it got done.
It did. We're going to have a lift next time, though. I'm going to tell you that. And it's not going to be me.
She is the lift.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
Oh, man.
All my friends in the chat.
Hey, Elias.
Mr. Priest. Elias.
But yeah, so I think that's a really interesting level of business that again just gets really overlooked. So massive kudos to you guys to explore that so early on in business, and capitalize on that, because it's
absolutely.
I can tell you, I know for a fact I've been dealing with enough of those situations myself. Like, those markets are incredibly viable. So
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it just goes into like whether or not people are willing to put in the legwork, because even though it's just a lot of legwork, but there's not a lot of people who are willing to do it. And there's so many people who I've spoken to overseas who I'm like, man, if I could figure out a way to get that from over there to over here, I would pay for it. But the process is just too much for me to be doing with all the other things I got going on. So
it's that same mindset. You're hitting the nail right on the head. Mm-hmm. We even lower than that with LLC. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't want an LLC, or sole proprietorship as far as on their business. A lot of people want to do cash only and kind of slide under the radar. We're like, look, we want to claim everything. We want the tax benefits. We want we want to go straight as an arrow. That's just the way to really go. Mm-hmm. The tax code is built for businesses.
I mean, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of hours of just researching things, mm-hmm. and making this phone call and doing that and sending this email and messaging this person and sitting down with for as far as like taxes, like he was talking about, sitting down with your CPA, actually going and sitting down and learning some of this stuff. For instance, our CPA is like 80 some odd years old.
Yeah.
Like he has dealt with the textile mills in this area, the textile businesses before they went, to other places. And now he deals in like the churches, the communities, and the big businesses that are here still. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what's gonna happen when you're not here, Bobby? You know, so I'm sitting down with him. Like, I go and I sit for days, literally, to go through each thing that we're doing, so that I know what's up. You know, I can go to the next person when something does happen, or he does decide he doesn't want to do it anymore. And you know, it does. It takes a lot of legwork for all things, but that import and exporting. I remember we had a customer that he purchased off our website just immediately before contacting us, and he's in Spain. And
health certs. Oh God!
I'm like, oh God, how am I going to get this thing to Spain now? Like, I knew I could get it to the Netherlands, and then I knew I could somehow, if he were going to go to the ham show or Houghton, I think it was. Or
they had stopped that for a while.
They stopped that for a while. So they had stopped delivering to those shows, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, well, I know I can get it to the Netherlands, but I don't know how to get it the rest of the way. So it had gotten to the point, y'all, it was legitimately, I had to find somebody to offer to go run by like DDI, pick up the gecko, take it to the show, meet his friend that was going to the. It was just a lot, but we made it happen. We did make it happen, but at one point in time, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get on a plane and fly my butt over there with the gecko in hand and just get off the plane and go from there. Yep. Like, I had literally gotten to that point because I was so sick of having to go through X, Y, and Z to figure it out. But I mean, I still to this day, I say I might one day do something like that, but I don't know, because it is lucrative, because they do want the animals. The Italy, Spain, you know, the UK, like we have people that we'll see, like when people come on our site, it'll pop up on our phones, different locations.
Right.
Y'all, we see people popping up on our phones in Egypt.
Yes, all over.
Egypt and Taiwan and all these different places that you just wouldn't like automatically think. I think we had one and it was like Libya. I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that's going to China. A lot of times China will be on it. And it's just, it's crazy because you got to think there's like, 8 billion people in the world or whatever at this point. And like to be in the US and only think about the US is just, I mean, we get enough in the US, but think about all of the different places that you go and explore.
Get that gecko passport. Yeah.
I really considered it. I was like, okay, what is the cheapest airport that I can fly into Spain? Like, legitimately.
Crazy.
And I'll just rent a car and drive around to the different countries delivering
the ultimate courier service.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
And Europe is so much smaller than the United States, so like you can drive most places within a day or so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's
culture
true.
shock in Argentina. Yeah, I bet so.
Oh man. But yeah, I one of the things we were talking about, Will and I were talking about before we started the episode, was going to shows and tapping into the local market as much as we're talking about exporting and going outside of the US. Like there's plenty of keepers here in the States, and shows really do provide that opportunity to get the face time with your local or regional clientele. And a lot of times people look at a show as, okay, I've got to spend X amount of money to do the show, you know, be it hotels or the table costs or whatever. And it's okay, well, I got to make X amount of money. Otherwise it's not worth it for me to do the show. Versus, and this is where you guys had a different approach, which is like, no, this is our chance to talk to people. This is an advertising expense that's going to allow us this one-on-one time with the people who are vibing with us, who are checking our stuff out, who are curious about what we're doing. And as I've gotten older, that's definitely the thought process I've taken with shows for sure. But again, like you guys had that really early in the game, and that's a really strong mentality to go in, because it also keeps you positive.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're going in there being like, man, I gotta make $3,000, otherwise this is a bust, and it was pointless for me to be here, and blah blah blah. And if you don't hit that mark, you're pissed, you know. Like you're not enjoying yourselves. So yeah, I feel like that's another element of what we do that often gets overlooked in that way, because again, from the business side, it becomes a write-off because it's an advertising expense.
That's right.
You know, but also just to be able to approach it is like, nah, man, all my sales are online, or the majority of my sales are online. This is the only chance I'm going to get to see Joe Schmo, you know, and talk to Joe Schmo. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. It has to be that way. And then you'll find that you'll have certain situations that shock you, you know, quite often. You know, we actually did a video on that, how several times we've had customers or people that literally would drive 4 to 10 hours just to come hang out with us, you know, take pictures, meet us in the flesh, you know. And why I say customers or people, we've had people come and not necessarily buy anything. They just jumped on the road to just come out and hang out with us. So that blows our mind. Definitely. We had one guy intentionally get there before, right as we're shutting down, closing everything up, and he was in tears. He was crying. This is unrealistic. This is crazy. He was literally crying, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I don't know what to do. I told Audra the same, like, what's happening?
He's not real good at comforting people.
I'm like, what's happening? This is scaring me. I'm like, what's going on here? We need medical attention.
But he legitimately just felt, you know, the presence of just feeling like included into something, feeling like he knew us and wanted to talk with us and give us a little part of who he is. Absolutely. And I think it brought him such sheer joy. Like he's like, can I have a picture? And I'm like,
absolutely. And that's the thing we carry with us. We're never too big for the community. We are never going to be bigger than the community.
I don't understand that concept.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
So for me, like, I don't know if you guys are like this, but for me, I don't get goo goo gaga over anybody.
Right.
Like, I don't care who it is. We can have mutual respect. Like a lot of people stand in line to see celebrities. They stand in line to do this, that, or the third. Number one, I ain't standing in line to see nobody. No, but and so for me, it's like there are a lot of people that legitimately build bonds with the people that they see.
Right.
And those people that they see, they build bonds because they see them on YouTube. They comment on their things, and they really do kind of latch onto those people because it makes them feel some type of way. There's a quote that I've always loved. I love it. And it's basically people will forget what you said to them. You know, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And so that is the difference, I think, for a lot of people. Like, I never stand in line for nobody, but I can have mutual respect. And so for me for somebody to actually want to see us like that, it was a very surreal moment. It was a surreal moment when we went to the first Tinley that we just went to, go to, and we were going across the way just to grab, we were trying to get a het monsoon girl. That's what we were after. It was like a ready to breed het monsoon girl. And we were headed, making a beeline. And all of a sudden, somebody reached out and grabbed my jersey and jerked me back. And I was like, and I turned around, cause I'm ex-police officer. I'm ready to throw hands. And I'm sorry. He's like, I've been trying to get your attention. I've seen you a couple of times, but this is the only way that I could get you in this crowd. He's like, I was wondering if I could picture with you.
Absolutely.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not that important. I'm really not important. There's nothing about me that is important. So when he says, we're never too big, we're not big. We're just who we are, and we put our pants on the same way everybody else does. And I don't know.
And we stopped so many times to take pictures that day with the people.
Yeah, I just keep thinking to myself, you better get my good side. I don't want to see a bad angle on Instagram later. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and it does remind you that when you do put yourself out there, that comes with a responsibility,
right?
To be good to people, to continue to do the things that you did to get to that place, to entice people that they do want to get to know you.
And people may be starting where you started at, and you got to be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I work on myself a lot as far as being approachable. That's why I'm always welcoming, smiles ear to ear when I'm out there, because as an officer, SWAT team, I was a cage fighter.
Hey, he wasn't approachable, not even a little bit.
My outer appearance is so hard and so hardened that I don't want to turn people off before you say hello or say hey. So I welcome everyone.
Give them a look.
I don't have the look. I'm a little teddy bear. That's all.
That's the look.
But I try to make sure that people can choose to engage with me so they can understand, like, hey, I'm open for all communication, all acknowledgement, the whole 9 yards. So it's very important for me to kind of put that out on the front side, because that's who I am.
He is now. I had to loosen him up a little bit. It was all me. I loosened him up and made him friendly.
Right there's the face.
Yeah. He's giving me the face right now.
I'm trying to think, Jeremy. Who would you stand in line to wait to go see?
I don't really know. If I'm going to wait in line to see somebody, it's for a really specific reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no other way to get in touch with you. Like, the one, so there's one point in time when I was really trying to build my music network.
Right.
I remember a trumpet player that I really enjoyed was coming to my hometown, and he was doing a small intimate concert, and afterwards was having a meet and greet. And I'm like, man, I really want to meet this guy. I really want to talk to this guy. This is the only chance I'm going to have. So I'm going to have to wait in line, because he's got way too many followers on Instagram. He's not the one running his Instagram, so getting in contact is damn near impossible. So at that point, it was really about, like, okay, how am I going to make this interaction count? Because, man, you got my ass waiting in a damn line. Like,
yes.
But
that's how I feel. Yeah.
So, and I'm, thankful to say that the conversation went very well and made enough of an impression that even years later, we don't speak very often, but even years later, when we run into each other, like, we remember that moment, and we talk and stuff. So for me, that's worth it.
It's definitely worth it.
That's networking. That is networking.
Yeah. Yes. To fangirl over? Nah, bruh. Sorry. It's not.
That ain't
not
happening.
It's not happening. I can't.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, because at the shows when we've been, and I'm happy we do this as a couple, because, so many people come to the booth, whether they're buying geckos, whether they're just coming to hang out, whether they're coming to take pictures, that we're able to kind of divide and conquer. She'll either be over there talking to a person, a customer, or I'll be talking to someone, and the conversations really don't end until the customer is ready to kind of go and do their own thing. And they're always like, oh, I don't want to take you away from your... No, this right here. This is why we're here. And
what it's
people
about.
turn and look, and they're like, that makes no sense. But how are you going to make this beneficial? It's a long conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's go to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the great parts about doing the shows too, is, like, again, you get that one-on-one time with your clients and your customers and your friends and stuff. But you really start to build up some of those relationships where
Oh,
you
yeah.
can have those moments of, you go to Chicago and you've got your group of friends or your people that see you all the time. You're like, hey man, you want to come with us to, Giordano's? We're all going to get pizza. A big
It is
group
a
of us going to get
battle
pizza
in
and stuff.
Tinley. It's a battle. We're like, all right,
Man.
we gotta make a schedule of the non-show time. Like, hey, we're hanging out
Yeah.
with this person from this time to this time.
Yeah.
Then we got a Patreon dinner.
I think
then we
this
got
last time we went from one group to the
Yeah.
next in one night.
They're like, are you gonna eat? No, we just ate, but we came so we can hang out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
We've done that multiple
Yeah.
times. Where you stop
It's
at
insane.
3 or 4 different places before you get back to the hotel.
Mhm.
We're old too, so if it don't happen before midnight, we no. Honey, he fell asleep at Tinley, and everybody knows it because it was splashed across Instagram. So I don't want to hear it. It ain't me. Like, it's not me.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
I'm sure
Hey,
somebody
man.
will post that up again.
I'm sure.
Hey, look, to be fair, the shows are exhausting.
They are.
Yes.
This
They
shows
are
are
very
exhausting.
My cheeks will get sore from smiling so much. I'm like, "Ee."
Yeah,
And they just cramping like crazy.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
it is meant to be exhausting, though.
Yeah. So I definitely got to ask. So you guys started in the Crested Gecko stuff,
Yes.
and then you made the transition and started working with some ball python stuff too. So what was the draw into ball pythons? Was it just like, hey, like this is obviously another element of the business that's really large and impactful, or was this like, that's a really cool looking snake that
Not necessarily. Well, our daughter actually got us really started. And what ended up happening after looking while at the shows at how everything was progressing, our vision on things as far as obviously with business is quite skewed. So we looked at the market and comparably, we say all the time, Crested Geckos versus the ball pythons, whether you're a breeder or a customer, we're literally saying that Crested Geckos being the number one, ball pythons being about 1,000. That's the ratio comparison of breeders, customers versus each other. So basically that means that the ball python market is more well-known, bigger customer base, more people in that lane. And what we step back to actually notice is typically at that specific time, no one in particular, ball pythons were almost at a point where, people would list what they are, or, share amongst friends, and they were almost pretty much selling themselves. Quite too often we would see, other vendors or, maybe not the best personalities behind tables. And they will we would see customers walk up or potential customers walk up and walk off because literally a vendor will look them right in the face and literally just say nothing until they walked off. And I'm just like,
it's happened to me. Like I've
what's
walked
going
up to a
on?
table
So
like that, and it's been done to me like that.
our thought process on it was like, okay, cool. Our angle, our approach of what we would do in these situations. And in our thought process, Crested Geckos are so much harder on the business side because the difference in size that I felt that we could be successful at it. Whether it's taking pictures of Crested Geckos or marketing on the Crested Gecko side, larger projects, investment projects, everything in comparison, we felt like we can kind of throw our hat in the ring, especially kind of come in the path we already came with the Crested Geckos and almost put it on fast forward.
Because we
pythons.
knew the mistakes that we made with the Crested
hesitations
Geckos
and purchase and stuff like that.
We chose to learn from those mistakes and put our business plan that was actually working at that point with the Crested Geckos and give it 1,000% into the ball pythons without those mistakes hampering our way. So when we did that, we knew, okay, because of the differences in the size of the markets and because the more eyes mean more opportunities, mean more inquiries, mean more, return on your investment pretty much. And we knew we could do that. If we could sell the Crested Geckos and be successful in it, we can sell the ball pythons and be successful.
And the key word, a part of what Audra just said, was investment, the return on investment, the overall window in general that everyone looks at. I think when they're talking about, again, just the business side, I think they keep it too short. You know, a lot of people, they'll, you know, put whatever money into their projects and they're expecting it to come back, you know, tenfold in 2-3 years, max 5 years. We're sitting here with crazy amounts of money invested into the ball pythons, but we're looking at it completely different. And when we tell people the stories and they're like, hey, you guys are weird, because we're like, hey, yeah, we spent X amount and it's gone. Boom, done. And the whole point is it's an investment in the sense of like anyone else's 401k, you know, whatever it may be. And what I mean by that is, okay, 10, 15 years, hopefully the next 20 years, we're not looking at trying to pull this money out. It's more like spending money. It's like, okay, cool. You spend X amount of dollars and you created a self-sustainable business. It took you 10 years, but it's literally sustaining itself. Stop trying to, oh, I'm gonna spend 10 grand, I'm gonna get 20 back in 3 years.
It's the difference between longevity and a get rich quick scheme.
Right.
The fact of the matter is there is no easy button as it pertains to business in general.
Right.
Yeah. And rule of thumb, like this has always been rule of thumb ever since I've, you know, been coming up and known anything about business, is that if you get out of the red in 5 years, not one, like a lot of people seem to want to think, but if you get out of the red in 5 years and are actually profiting, you're doing really daggum good.
Right.
Like that is excellent.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about literally longevity versus just trying to get in there and make a buck, a fast buck. It's not going to happen.
And it depends on the people too. You know, like I said, you know, I'm extremely blessed to have Audra as my partner. Because in this situation, you got to really, really look at who you're working with. We actually was talking with someone that we're mentoring about kind of, you know, when, let's say you're the guy or the girl, vice versa, whatever, but your significant other doesn't support you in what you're doing in your reptile hobby. There could be several, you know, reasons why. And this person ended up having a kind of light bulb moment, because I'm like, well, ask yourself all the same questions. Like, hey, how many different things you're over here? You're hunting, you're fishing, you're buying $1,000 knives, and now you want to breed ball pythons. You keep picking up all these different trades and putting them down. Why would a woman want to support you in this new journey? So do you know each other well enough that, hey, you know, I get on Audra nerves because I'm all or nothing. I am balls to the wall. You tell me that I'm going to be successful if I sit here and drink water and don't eat at all for the next week. I'm going to be a hungry soul for a whole week. And I don't need nobody like me. I'm literally that way.
He's going to be ill, but he's going to do it.
But I'm going to make sure he gets it done. It's the craziest thing. So people, and then they kind of, it's another side of it too, where they're like, all right, well, you know, where, and again, I don't mean this with any malice. This is just our approach to it, our experience. A lot of people, I think, too soon kind of question themselves on when do you find your you time, your quality time. And as much time that we do have now because of the businesses, we don't worry about that, because the story we led off with, we ain't see each other. I couldn't stand her. You know, we were literally crossing each other and pat. Hey, I'm going to work.
Don't feel bad. Like the feeling was
yeah, because it was life was life, and then it was hard. You know, life was life, and then it was hard. So now when it's like, oh, okay, I gotta clean and feed geckos for 14 hours. Okay, that's 2 days a week. You know, I could take a day out of that week and take pictures of geckos and go for a walk in the neighborhood. You know, whatever you decide that you want to do with your time, don't kind of negate the issue of there's going to be hard work and obstacles in your way for anything that you want to do.
People give up too easily.
Yeah.
People give up when the going gets tough.
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah. No, that's definitely true. I mean, like, certainly Rob and I have seen numerous folks come in, go through one recession, so to speak, not even necessarily a financial one, but whatever, and then they're just like, all right, we're out. Like we
Oh
can't-
yeah, we've seen that, and
Yeah.
we're in a little snafu ourselves if we really think about it. So the game plan for the ball pythons, right? We have 300 ball pythons at this point. That's including our grow outs and everything. But this is year 3. Year 1 we have 43 clutches. Year 2, which was last year, 24 season, we had 33 clutches. We had over 400 babies. We've been aiming to start vending with ball pythons in our projects in year 5. I don't know if we're gonna be at that point yet, and the reason being is things are going well, and that's a good thing. Out of those 400 plus ball pythons and not vending with them at all, we have 6 available. So that means the growth is there, the sales are there. That's awesome. But now we got to kind of sit back and go to the drawing board and kind of write out, how do we
map this out
to be able to still stick to that schedule and be able to vend and show off our projects, and it still makes sense, because we don't want to have 1,000 snakes. We're going to, again, another part of learning from the people who've done it before us. We're taking a page out of Ozzy book. When we have, the projects that we're working and we're producing things or buying things, and things are a step up from what we have, we're going to move what we have on while we move on to closer to the goal. So therefore, we're not raising the number of snakes every single year and buying racks and racks and racks. We're kind of focusing on our projects and things we want to see and things we want to create. But that also means that the clutch counts aren't going to drastically increase. I don't see us having, 100 clutches. And that's not a bad thing for anyone that's doing that. I'm just saying for us. We only have
100 clutches. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Look, I think when my first full year at Nerd, we did like 250 clutches, over 250 clutches, and that was, oh boy. Like, don't do it. Don't do it, guys. But no, you know what? I mean, yeah, right, exactly. I think that's an incredibly smart way to approach it, and I really like Ozzy's method of don't overexert yourself. Continue pushing towards that goal, and when you have a number that works for you, stick with that. Absolutely stick with that. And look, I'll be honest with you. Vending with ball pythons is great. If you can bring them with you, obviously there's clients for that. But if y'all did 400 animals in production and you're down to single digits, that's huge, especially in today's market. And to me, that's a sweet spot.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would not be pressed to have things on your table at any point in time. And almost to like Ozzy's point, Ozzy doesn't even vend shows anymore.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't need to, and that's a wonderful space to be in.
That's a beautiful place to be.
Because of course, being at the shows is fun and is wonderful and stuff, but because a lot of it also is like, yeah, I want to talk to you, but also I'm here to sell some snakes. When you don't have to worry about that, that is a boatload of stress that you guys can save yourselves 100% for sure. So yeah, that's, especially in today's market, fantastic work. Fantastic work.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, I was talking to a friend of mine actually at the All American show over the weekend, and we were talking about the ball python market, because it's definitely in a down point in comparison to even pre-COVID. Not even thinking about COVID, because that was a really extreme variable in the trajectory of how ball pythons have gone. And I remember having a conversation with Brian Barczyk on his podcast, and we were talking about the market and what we expected to see and how fast we expected it to bounce back. And we've gone far past the time when we thought things would stabilize, and we've seen it not be stable for much longer than we ever anticipated. And I think a large portion of that is there's more people breeding ball pythons now than there ever has been in the history of ball python production, number one. And number two, social media drives so much of what
Yeah.
trends happen in the industry.
Definitely.
If you're not working a certain project from a certain somebody, you're getting kind of lost in the sauce, so to speak.
Yep.
So again, the fact that you guys are selling the amount that you're selling, that's huge. That really is huge.
Well, I think part of that is legitimately the business plan, the groundwork,
Yeah.
the day after day of cleaning and feeding, and one of us running here and doing this, and one of us, editing videos, and one of us recording videos.
Yep.
And answering every single question that people have, and constantly trying to comment back with people who have subscribed to us, and just honestly putting in the legwork, as you said earlier, but the legwork to make sure those customers know our brand, and when they see us, they see our brand. We eat, breathe, bleed our brand.
And working with our budget, working within the budget.
Yeah.
We are good at kind of revisiting that year after year after year. First year, we are already budgeted in year one to do 15 grand was allotted to rodents because we weren't breeding our own rodents. Audra actually stepped in last year and she started breeding, rodents only for feeding our crazy amounts of babies we were hatching out. So we were budgeted year one for 15 grand for rodents to make sure we offer food for everything we produce as well as everything we keep every single week. And then it was the same budget for year two, but it worked out greatly because we saved close to $6,000. That's after buying wood and building the racks and buying the rodents to grow out and everything else and start breeding. But getting those, those litters that Audra was producing out there to feed all our hatchlings literally saved us almost $6,000. So that allows us now at that time to revisit the budget, take that out and buy forward in other projects. But now this year we get to lower the budget that's allotted for the rodents and adjust everything accordingly. So it's like everything has to go according to your business plan. You have to have it in place.
And you need to be fluid in it from year to year. You constantly need to be reevaluating each quarter that you come through. You reevaluate each year that you go through. You reevaluate what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are the threats to your business. Like I joke with him all the time because I told him initially years ago, we need to do a SWOT analysis. He's like, we don't need to do a SWOT analysis. And SWOT analysis is one of those things where you analyze it. It's like a table, and it's like your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats.
Right.
And you put it out there on paper. You put it out there so that you are aware. A lot of people might think about that, but when you put it out there and you know it, and you're fluid with each quarter or each year, say you do it each year that comes through, you know where you've got the opportunity to grow, and you know where you need to cut out. Your opportunities, your networking, your shows that you might want to pick up, or the app that turns a video into like the Opus Clip app or whatever, like that turns a video into like the
reel,
best marketable reels. You see those opportunities, and then you might see your threats as being an old, outdated app that you're using, or old, outdated software that you're using. It's just constantly being fluid, constantly knowing where you're at and where you want to go.
Yeah. And you have to be on purpose. You have to do everything on purpose. So, and more kind of defined on that, because we have to we mentor people on our Patreon as well with it. You can't be on the fence, excuse me. If you're going to approach it as a hobby, keep it a hobby. There's nothing wrong with having fun with your reptile. There's nothing wrong with staying there. Nothing says that you have to make it a business, but be accountable as well. If you say, even to friends or wherever, or at a show, hey, this is my hobby, that now today I'm making an effort, a conscious effort. This is my business. Now you need to make business decisions. You know, you need to come up with a business strategy. When things go well, you're all good. My business is doing well. But when things go bad, you're like, hey, I'm just having fun. Nah.
No,
You got to respect your business. You can't be on the fence. You can't pick which side you want to be on according to the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very true, and brings me back to something that Ozzy said a handful of times. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
It's a hell no.
Right.
Exactly. Like I remember when he said that with us, it was like, you know what? That's actually really freaking great, man. Like,
Real.
Yeah. It 100% is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what's I think something that's an interesting business challenge. We work with live animals. So there are added variables that we all have to deal with versus if we were coffee mug salesmen, that's like, oh well, we can just go buy 1,000 and we have 1,000, and that's never going to change unless somebody breaks one, and then that person's fired, and then that's the end of that deal. You're gone. So what are some of the ways that you guys have insulated yourselves in case something happens? If you're not getting the exact amount of clutches that you were anticipating based on what you were breeding, like where is your margin there?
So as far as that in the planning stage, that's where it is in the planning stage. So we made sure that even when we started building everything, it was a huge kind of spending frenzy, but we made sure that you live within your means, especially when as it pertains to an individual business startup. You're expensing so much stuff out, but you need to make sure that that business can withstand that. And in that planning, as far as budgeting, trying to make sure that you're not spending every single dollar to the point of you're depending upon some type of revenue to cover whatever expenses are now supposed to be operating expense. That's something you want to kind of stay away from. That's what we stay away from and stay clear of. And we always, on the revenue side, especially with the ball pythons, right from day one, we shot low on the expectation of revenue, meaning even year one, when we had those, 43 clutches, after expenses, rodents, absolutely everything, we were shooting for 50 grand revenue income. So we've done videos on it as well. We did 76K in revenue that year, which blew our mind. Now, that doesn't mean that we adjust things up. All we're shooting for at that specific time, without necessarily the reinvestment, is holding a bar and saying, hey, if we can invest close to 600 grand, can we withstand this business at bringing in a revenue of 50K every year? Most people will say that's a weird number to shoot for. But again, we said at the beginning, you spend it, it's gone. You're looking for a self-sustainable business. Or how are you going to be sitting there in year 11 if you do hit 50 grand every year? So we kind of mapped all that stuff in big time detail, but all your revenue ends up folding back into the business, no matter how much year to year you're in the black. So you always have, I'm smiling because it's a running joke. We'll sit here, we're like, oh man, we're hungry. Want to go fine dining? Now we'll eat some ramen. We broke.
Yeah.
Oh, babe, you see that $12,000 snake? And next day we're doing an unboxing video because the business may have money, but we're not trying to pull that stuff out to do the stuff that we want to enjoy. So you need to have the business smarts to separate the two.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where a lot of people make a mistake in this business and getting things started is in tandem. I think it's also largely because like we've done a really great job as an industry of promoting breeding and selling snakes and it being a way to make a living, which is, it's clearly possible, but there's so many elements to it on the back end that we don't discuss.
Right.
You know, as far as being prepared and being able to insulate yourself, you know, so that you are prepared, you know, where you're setting your bar so that things make sense. You know, and not immediately going from having a killing year where you're way above what you expected, and then like you try to scale to match, because this business does not scale the way you think it does.
Exactly.
Like
You know,
that.
and I think that's where a lot of folks make mistakes. And like, you know,
Big
right now
time.
we're talking about ball pythons, but I think it goes across the
Across the
board,
board.
whatever
And that's
you're
where we had the experience
Mhm.
with the Crested Geckos, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, I don't think, you know, traditionally, you know, I can never say that word. What is the finance word? Amortization.
Amateurization.
There we go.
Isn't that-
But you don't think about it, you know, and that's a real thing.
I
So
think.
in what world, any world besides here, do you let's say buy an item, an animal, or whatever it may be, and it's 10 grand, and you expect to breed it, and for the next 100 years, everything it produced, you want it to be 10 grand. It doesn't happen that way.
Mm-mm.
The more you produce, the more this becomes available, the price will drive down. Supply and demand. I know a lot of people hate
A
hearing
lot of
that.
people hate hearing that, but it's just the cold hard
Right.
facts.
Even in the non-necessity world,
Mhm.
it's still, you know, supply and demand. So that being said, you have to be comfortable and build and plan around that. You know, us getting into monsoon right out the gate, you know, spending 17 grand on monsoon. Well, the whole point is when the prices are high, the rarity typically is up there as high as well. Now, depending on how the gene works and everything else, you know, sometimes you have to look at it in the sense of what works for you. Doesn't mean that it's going to work for everyone else. When it's an investment like that, obviously you're going to make sure that the welfare of the animal is priority number one. You're not going to do anything that you shouldn't be doing. But business wise, you know, as far as decisions and things you need to be doing, there is a rush. There is urgency. Absolutely. You bet not put that male or female on the shelf and say, look at my $17,000 animal, and I'm going to sit them there for 5 years and do absolutely nothing. And year 6, I'm pissed because my $17,000 animal that's never bred, I've never even tried to breed or do anything with, is worth $2,000. I'm a fool. Me. That's crazy. So you need to understand how things work. We've been through that. We imported in from Iris, a stranger double het puzzle clown male, good sized male. Brought him in. This revisits the fact of we're dealing with live, you know, living and breathing animals, and nothing was different about his care. We did a video about it. I mean, what, $12,000 animal. And we got one breeding out of him. He was, I think, 800 grams. He was doing great, and went down, opened up his tub, and he was belly up. You know, you do the necropsy and all that other stuff, and the vet says nothing out of the ordinary. You know, what do? A lot of companies will just bend and fold. We revisit, we contact, you know, the seller. It's not his fault. And we got to pick up actually the brother that we chose not to buy. We got to buy that now, which was the pastel stranger double het, because at that time, nobody had that project at all.
Right.
So we were one of the first here with it at that time, and we wanted to stay there. So we had to drop that bag again from the business. So now you're getting hit with a double whammy, but already here in year 3, that's leveled out completely off of 2 seasons. So, and that's unheard of.
And now we've moved that project forward,
right?
You know, so much so that we've got our holdbacks and our for sale stuff. So it's just like
you have
people
to
just don't
strategically
understand.
look at how you're gonna do all of those purchases. You have to be smart with your purchases. We had another one stateside, really quick, with Ozzy. You know, that was a hefty purchase. That was $12,000 to Ozzy.
Yep.
And when we got that baby boy in, I mean, he was 105 grams, and we purchased him as a super inchy orange dream leopard hypopod, 66% het for ultramel. The odds gods happened to be on our side with that one. He ended up being, the double super orange stream and super inchy.
And ultramale.
And he tested positive for ultramale. So he really was a stud.
He is.
The thing is, just because you drop that, whatever you spend on that male, we need to understand, the things that are not being said. Everybody's not going to say everything because some things are processed different by different people. So we also look at, which Audra always say, I'm the only one that sees it, but she says, we look at the things that aren't being said. So when I watch, the leaders of the industry, the Justins, the Bobs, the Ozzies, and I'm watching their videos and they're pulling open this 10 gene animal, this female, that female. I notice, I'm like, man, they got like 100 females that are like one of a kind. Nobody else has them. They just got them sitting there ready to breed. They've been doing this for 20 years. We haven't. So we're trying to understand that. So that means that whatever you drop on that male, you got to have something lined up for that male to breed to. So as soon as he got ready to breed, that male hit 1,200 grams. We were lucky because we got an ultrasound and was trying to save him. He ended up breeding to 8 females that year. We hit incredible odds with that Audi investment. And in 1 year, that investment went literally 3 times fold in that project.
And that's honestly a good segue from your question before about how do you deal when things don't go exactly right, when you don't get all the pledges that you were thinking. Yeah. Like for us, our stranger male, up and died. Thankfully, we were able to grab up that other one that cleared out that whole project, period. It leveled itself out. But on the flip side that we weren't able to, we also had the Aussie boy that created even more so what that stranger project was, what we had lost out in that stranger project.
Multiple irons in the fire.
So it's multiple irons in the fire. It's having your plans A, B, C, D, and E, and knowing that maybe not everything's going to work out, but that's okay because you've got it's similar to like a franchise operation.
Right.
So like there's let's just say a Burger King in your town that is desolate. They get nothing, but there might be a Burger King in my town that's killing it. And so it pulls the weight of the Burger King that's not. Right. It's just an example.
And at the same time, we're paying attention to the biomechanics of everything, trying to understand because we're new. Trying to understand, be receptive of whatever information we may receive from anyone, bad or good. Just try to process it because, an animal dies and I care. We care about that animal. We want to know what we did wrong. Is it something that we could have did to prevent this issue? Go to the vet, talk to people in the community, let them know, take pictures, do different things of trying to gain understanding on why this animal that's in perfect health died, and our best answer from the actual professional is like, hey, sometimes things happen, and we're like, it's a $12,000 answer. Like we're trying to make sure that we're doing things right.
I'll take this shit sucks for $12,000, Alex.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's the living being part of it. Like
trying to gain understanding so we can learn as we move forward.
Because you don't want that to happen again, because that's definitely a threat to your business for that stuff to kind of consistently happen. So it's just reevaluate and moving forward.
Yeah 100%. I think that's one of the nice things with, I'll say, with ball pythons in particular, because that's a market that I'm more vested in. There are so many avenues that you can take. So as long as you're really thought out and prepared with multiple directions and different avenues you can take, you have those opportunities without really forcing a massive pivot, necessarily, to be able to recoup and still come out on top for sure.
It's definitely tough because it's structured that way, but you can do it a million different ways, and sometimes it's going to end up being a flip of the coin. Yeah, you can. We tell people all the time the best plan is having a few projects, maybe 2 at least, kind of working on, because if you're trying to invest in something that's going to be kind of your side thing that you can do that. and that'd be perfectly fine. But if you're trying like at a big stakes, you're playing big stakes poker. And, you know, you're spending $40,000 or whatever, $30,000 on a female. You raise her to size and you breed her, and you're waiting for that to come full circle, and come to find out your female decide not to give you eggs for 6 years.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy.
If she don't give eggs for 6 years, she's moving up out here.
Yeah.
But that's what allows you to
Rent
kind
is
of
past
do
due.
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not paying her rent.
Paying her rent.
Facts.
Gotta earn her
Facts.
keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man. Yeah. No, it's true, and I think that's an important part of this business in particular is like, you know, being real enough to have the conversations about, you know, business and the finance and what all those things look like, as well as, you know, like, hey, we care about the animal, you know, and I think that in this business, that is something that gets really, really demonized, you know, and you know, a lot of people put a lot of value on it's a living, breathing creature. And of course, we all understand that. We all care about that. You know, but at the same time, if we're trying to run a business, I have to pay attention to the dollars and cents, you know, otherwise this doesn't make sense, you know, and if, you know, just as you're saying, if you want it to be a hobby, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy that space and do what you're going to do. But if you're trying to run a business, you have to pay attention to that. And I think in today's day and age, it's a little more nuanced to have that conversation.
We have it a lot. We put it out there, you know, we surround it with your infrastructure. You know, they probably hear that like a broken record coming from us, because it's important. Because I found for us a way to kind of deliver it where hopefully it hits home across the board. Keepers, hobbyists, and breeders alike. You know, it doesn't matter whether you want to keep normals. That's perfectly fine. Breed normals, do all of that. We're on the other side, and this is how we're going to bring it full circle. You still have to have the infrastructure. If you're going to choose to keep normals and breed normals, there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that, but make sure that you have rack space, enclosure space to keep everything that you're going to produce. If you can't or choose not to sell anything, you can't produce something in hopes of selling it and can't move your inventory, and then you're mad. You can't. You have to have the infrastructure in place where we have racks that's not even plugged in, where it's like, okay, if we produce something and it can't sell, it has a home. It's here until it finds its customer. It will eat every week. It's all in the budget. So I think that's kind of the level playing ground. If you want to make simpler complex combos, that's perfectly fine. Just understand some of them may not sell. You have to be okay with losing money on it if you're paying for feeders like we are, or, you know, they'll sell at some point. You have to find a middle ground. You can't necessarily tell the newer keepers and breeders not to breed simpler combos. You just need to tell them they need to be responsible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, they demonize like actual, you know, making money off of this thing. But how are we supposed to give our animals and us our best lives if we're not making money? Like, you have to. It's not a question. You have to.
That is a middle ground, definitely.
Yeah. It's like I keep saying this over and over again. You're always going to have bad apples in the bunch. You're always going to have bad apples in the industry that you go into. But for us, these animals have given us the ability to create a strong relationship.
Absolutely.
To spend time with our kids, to do all of these things that we never got to do before. So why in the hell would I treat them any type of way? I'm sorry. They're the reason for this. So I'm going to care for them.
And to bring that full circle, I mean, even with the facility now, we can get up to 600 animals. I don't want to.
No, we legitimately have room for probably 5,000 geckos. If
oh
we
my
wanted
gosh.
to.
Yeah. Geckos is crazy.
We will never do that because that that
we still get excited for
overextends us,
hatching season. We're like,
We're
okay, cool. We're trying
Man,
to hold.
Look, when you are no longer excited about hatching out animals, that's when it's time to go. That's when it's time to go, man. Like, that's always the coolest thing, man. But also, I understand not wanting to hit old school AC Reptiles numbers with Crested Geckos when you've got, a bin this deep full of hatched out Crested Gecko eggs. And you're just like,
no.
I'll pass.
Calling up Alan Rapace, just telling him to bring the machine here to make the food on site.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Oh man, I thank you on those numbers. Oof.
Yeah, man, sheesh. I remember seeing those photos. Do you remember those photos, Rob, from Anthony? Just being like, look at how many Crested Geckos we produced this year. And we're only halfway done.
The egg picture is notorious. I was like, oh my goodness. That is so many.
It's a lot of Crested Geckos.
Too many eggs.
So many.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Well, guys, we went over time, but I'm happy we did, because this was a lot of conversation that doesn't get had in this industry. And I'm from jump, when I had first learned about you guys, like, I was incredibly impressed, and having this conversation even more so. You guys are really, really crushing it, and I'm super excited to see the future that you guys have in this hobby. You guys are rocking and rolling, and I'm stoked, and I'm happy to know you guys and get to hang out with you guys when we see each other at shows, and I'm super stoked for you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
As we wrap this up, we got one final question.
Oh,
and that one final question: do you want to win $1 million? No. Yeah, right, exactly. That question is, what in the realm of reptiles, be it something that you guys have happening at your place or something you may have seen online or something, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles right now?
Things I can't have.
Can't have.
Right.
I cannot. No, I cannot. I want a green tree python so bad I can't stand it, and I cannot.
The person that didn't originally like snakes wants a green tree python.
I know.
That's
I can't do it. I'm just not. I'm not ready. Like,
I was gonna say, Audra, we know enough people. We can get you a green tree python.
I cannot.
We're gonna get that after I get my IMG boa.
No, we're not. We're not doing that either.
From the
we can make all these things
like
happen.
Christmas presents. I don't know. That sounds like
I know, right?
This for that. Yeah.
I'm gonna be like Kevin Hart, and I'm gonna yell pineapples, because as soon as I get tagged by my green tree,
she still hasn't been tagged.
No, it's gonna be like.
Look,
honestly, you just need to get bit and get over it, because honestly, the first time you get bit, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I can't believe I was afraid of that.
The ball python's fine, but I've seen the teeth.
Look, as someone who's been nailed by an adult green tree python, it's not as bad as you think.
Oh my God.
And I got bit on the fingers. That's where it really hurt.
Yeah,
it was not that bad. It sucked in the moment, but it was over very quickly.
Oh, okay. I'd be the unlucky one that it latched onto and just stayed with me for days.
I don't know. Green trees are ding dongs. Like, during the day, as long as you don't go in there at nighttime, they're fine. Like, during the daytime, you can literally go in there and do whatever you want. They're not going to mess with you. If you go in there at nighttime, that's on you, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Heck yeah. Well, I'm super stoked, you guys. If people want to find out what you've got going on, what's the best place for them to find you?
I got you. So any of the space of social media that you could even dream about, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, obviously, and TikTok, just look up Flawless Crested Geckos. We're everywhere. If you Google us, it will come up. Our link tree will come up, and www.flawlesscrestedgeckos.com for all your crested gecko needs. Or Flawless Exotic Creations if you look up for the ball python side of things.
So we're across all platforms. We keep marketing, advertisement, and using all the engines to do so.
All of it. And then, of course, we have our Patreon for Flawless Crested Geckos that if you're interested in that.
Yes.
Yep.
Bam. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging and talking with us. And yeah, we'll see you guys very soon.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Later.
Sweet. Take
Appreciate
care,
you.
guys.
Bye.